What is consciousness? The live stream of consciousness is on a quest to unravel the mysteries of existence. Every episode, we ask the fundamental question that has captivated human minds for centuries. Is consciousness merely a product of our brains, or does it connect us to something greater? Explore the very fabric of our thoughts. Don't miss a moment. Expand your awareness and tap into the boundless potential that resides within you. Welcome to the live stream of consciousness.
Hello. Yes. Welcome to the live stream of consciousness. You have made it. I have made it. I don't think I've said that in a while. I used to enjoy saying that everybody's made it here to this moment. So thank you for making it to the moment. My name is Michael Zinn. This is the live stream of consciousness. This is my happy place every Thursday. I can't freaking believe it's December 14th. I remember at the beginning of the year saying, okay, it's January this, it's February this, and seemed like it was going so fast, and whoosh, now it's gone. There are 2 more shows left this year. I did not put in for vacation, so the Thursdays fall around Christmas, so I'm going to be doing a show next week and the week after Christmas, but I'm excited. This is, like I said, this is my happy place. You guys know this. I have been feeling a little sick. I don't know if you could hear it in my voice. I thought my voice was going to go. It didn't. But this is, I knew coming here would energize me and make me feel good. And speaking to my guests tonight a little bit beforehand, I know this is going to be a great conversation. So I'm excited. Let me just say hello to whoever's out there. I see Tim is out there. Hello, Tim. I see Janice out there. What's up, the Quiet Healer? Good to see you guys. I'm expecting some of the rest of the bunch shortly. But I want to talk about my next guests. My next guests are Chad and Lanell Osinga. They have a podcast called My Bulletproof Marriage. They're going to tell us all about it. And I met them on the Collab app that we talked about here a couple of times. Really cool feature that StreamYard added to their software, where you can find guests for your podcast, and you can look at what kinds of subject matters they talk about and how you might relate, and find someone who's compatible. And it's like a dating site for podcasters, I guess, kind of thing. So we have a date tonight. I'm excited to talk to my 2 guests. I'm going to welcome them to the show, because this is where I start to just babble endlessly. So welcome to the show, Chad and Lanell. What's going on?
What is up? How are you?
How you guys doing?
Oh, awesome. Thanks for having us.
Yeah, I'm excited to have you guys. I think you guys may be the first podcasters that I've had as guests. I usually have like spiritual people and then artists and musicians, and I had my dentist on once because he's in a spiritual group that I'm in, so that's actually how I met him.
Nice.
But this is cool. We have you guys have your own professional studio over there, so it's
we try.
We're gonna settle something up.
Yeah. No, it looks good. Usually I'm talking to people and they're like in their living room, and well, this is cool. We at least match a little bit. We both tried to put on our best.
That's it.
Right. So welcome to the show. I want to talk to you guys all about what you do and who you are. But we got to pay the bills, so to speak. Not really pay the bills, but make the show relevant to the title, the live stream of consciousness. I love talking about that stuff, and then I think as the conversation unfolds, everybody gets to see how it relates to what we're talking about. And I see a new person out there. What's up, Suzanne? Welcome. Hello, hypnotherapist. Nice to meet everyone. Nice to have you here. Thanks for coming. And I see Angela showed up. What's up, Angela? Good to see you. The live stream of consciousness. We love to talk about consciousness and spirituality, but let's get on the same page. What is consciousness? I don't know if you guys want to collaborate or each give me your point of view. Either way, what is consciousness?
Well, yeah. So we were actually talking about this the other day, because spirituality, like we were talking to you about before the show, it kind of changed the trajectory of our lives, and we wouldn't be helping people if it wasn't for that spiritual connection. As far as consciousness, I believe it's a progressive awareness. And I say progressive because I'm more aware of my place in the world, who I am as a human, and then how that all fits in the cosmos now than I was when I was 10, right? There was just this evolution of awareness. And I believe that it doesn't really stop. I think that from life to life, if you believe in stuff like that, I do. I believe that this isn't our first rodeo. And I think that we attain a certain level of consciousness or awareness, and then we enter into that another life, and we kind of build on that until we can truly find out who we are. I think the ultimate goal is to find out who our true identity is, not what the world says we were taught when we were 4 years old. That thing that's permanent within us. And so that's what I would say consciousness is all about.
Yeah.
I love that answer, man. I don't think I've had so many answers and they're all correct, right? They all touch a little bit of piece of the meaning, and that's what I love about that question, is because lights a little spark. But the way you said that it was like this progressive awareness, I think that's definitely key, because I think as you experience things in life and you see how they affect you, you get to decide, okay, what am I going to do the next time this thing comes around? And when we talk about consciousness and spirituality, you talk about kind of these lessons that kind of come, and that's what life is, right? Learning who you are, like you said. Yeah. And it's tough. We were talking about this earlier. It's tough these days because of all of the stuff outside of yourself that's kind of telling you this or that. You should be this, you should be that, or what you're supposed to look like. And I think people forget to look inside and see, oh, that's what I'm supposed to look like. That's who I am. And it just makes so much sense. But we'll get into that stuff. That's a little deep right for now. But again, that was a great answer. I love that. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
And that leads me to my next question, which I think, I don't always know if my guests have a belief in kind of, I don't want to say supernatural, but more like metaphysical, spirituality kind of beliefs. But I have a feeling you guys do, and I've had some experiences. Was there a moment or a story that you can share where you realized that, life was a little bit more than, what you've been taught and what we do day to day?
I think we've had lots of
we've had lots. I can tell you that the one for me that stood out the most was I was involved in a really serious motorcycle accident. A vehicle going 65 miles an hour merged into my lane and put me into a Jersey barrier, and I flatlined twice. The second time I flatlined, I actually had an out-of-body experience, and this is what changed just me as a person. Like, and I don't know, I've watched a lot of what do they call it, after death
near death experience, NDE. Yeah.
And it's funny because some of them I'm like, okay, I can relate to that a little bit, but what I will say is that I didn't have this big bright light and all of these amazing things, but it was just this peace. I wasn't in a body. I could see my body. I could see everything that was happening. I could see them putting IVs in me and trying to get my heart rate down and talking back and forth. And there was no body that I was in, right? I was formless. And there was just this absolute peace. There was no words that needed to be said. It was like you already knew what was happening. And I think that what really drove the point home, that because for a long time, for about 2 years, I thought I was delusional. I wouldn't tell anybody about what happened. I thought I was crazy. And it took me to understand that everything, when I came back to my body, I no longer was the same person. Like habits, things that I used to do, people I would hang out with, I didn't want any of it. I started diving into spiritual growth and spiritual stuff. Like I was an addict to it. I couldn't get enough of it. And that's when it really, the light bulb hit off. Like this was real, because I even try, like I would even try to drink, like purposely, I'm going to drink because I used to drink before this and I couldn't do it. I didn't have a taste for it anymore. I was a completely different person, right? And with no effort. And so for me, that experience showed me that there was much more to this thing that we call life, much more about who we are as an individual. We're not this form and this body that we so like to attach ourselves to, you know. And that's part of the world's biggest problem is our identity. We don't know who we are, right? And anyway, I could go on and on about it, but that was the experience for me. And I'll let Lanell talk about, you know.
Amazing. No
experience, but I remember
no, that was a great story. Yeah. So what do you
for me it started when I was much younger. I remember I was like 8 years old, and I remember being asleep and just being awakened by this man that was really tall and dark at the end of my bed, really, and it wasn't creepy to me. But I didn't share that story for a long time until I went to my mom. I was like, Mom, I saw this guy at the end of my bed, and she freaked out. And I'm like, no. I'm like, it's like he was there, but not there.
Yeah.
I'm like, and I remember, and I, described what he looked like. And she went and got this picture, and she was like, God, he sounds just like him. I was like, yeah, that's him. I was like, that's him.
I just got the chills.
And she was like,
chills.
How? She's like, that's my dad. Yeah. And I was like, yeah. And she was like, yeah. And she's like, you weren't afraid. I was like, I wasn't. I was like, but I know I saw him there. He didn't say anything to me. He was just standing there. It wasn't creepy. And ever since then, I'm have these different moments. Like I'll have dreams that, like, I remember my great grandmother's sister. I remember like a room of hers that she had passed away way before I was born. So, but I was like, yeah, I remember seeing this. I remember telling her, I was like, this is white lady, and she had like really gray hair. And I was like, she was really like fair skin. I was like, I called her white because she looked white, but I know she wasn't. And I was like, and I just remember like she had like this white room, and I was like, I described everything, and they were like, my whole family was like, you shouldn't know that. And I was like, but I'm telling you, I saw it. I was like Chad's mom passed away. And I remember us being in Kentucky one time, and I was in my 20s, and I was washing dishes, and I felt her. She came she walked right past me. And I was like, Dawn, what are you doing here? I just have spirits that will just come and just surround me, and they'll just be with me. And like I said, I'm not afraid of it at all. I know it's people know, or they know of me, and they know me, and it just, for me, it comforts me. And those moments I didn't really share too much. And I told Chad before getting on here, I was like, I want to share those things, but I don't want to sound crazy. I was like, but it's the truth. Like, that's when I realized that I wasn't of this world. Like I'm here, I'm on earth, but I'm not of this world at all. And I used to tell my mom all the time, for my birthday every year, I would say like, God, I can't wait to pass away. And she'd be like, why do you say that? I'd be like, because this right here, I'm just not attached to this. I'm like, but I feel like everybody wants me to be attached to a label. You want me to be attached to my name and attached to, who I so-called am. But I don't feel that. I was like, and so for me, if I'm not here, I'm here, but I'm not here. I was like, and I don't think anybody ever understood that because the way I grew up. And so that's my story.
Well, let me tell you one thing. First of all, this is the live stream of consciousness, so nothing you say is going to sound crazy here.
Thank you for making me feel at home.
Yeah, no, absolutely. And I love I love the energy that you guys have, and that everything that you're saying. I want to just go back to Grace Grell. I want to say hello to Grace first of all, but Chad, you were talking about your experience, and when you came back, how you weren't the same person. She said the soul felt its worth, and something that you guys both said, I think that's kind of important and relates to energy and the idea of energy and what we are, is that it was a feeling, right? So when you saw this guy at the end of your bed, you said, I wasn't afraid, you felt that same kind of peace that Chad was talking about. It was a peaceful feeling, and like sometimes it doesn't need to be described and explained in visuals like light and this and that and the other thing. It's just a feeling, right? And I think we all have that, and I think we all can recognize that moment, and it's such a special moment when you connect to your feeling, and you're just like, I don't know what this means or how I know it, but I just know it. I just feel it. It is what it is, right? And then Angela was saying that ancestor visits are cool.
Yes,
when you were talking about taking out the photo, I know I got the chills. And the quiet healer got the chills. Angela saying you're a star seed. I'm not sure if you guys know what that is. I'm sure you do. You know, I think, Chad, you were talking about the idea of reincarnation and our souls just kind of traveling through time and these experiences, right? And the star seed, I think, is you know, puts that on a more cosmic level. You know, that energy. Wow, we're getting a lot of good comments. Be in this world, not of it.
Yes.
Totally, you know, totally. And Quiet Healer says, I totally understand and agree with you, Lanell. And Tim is just saying, hola, Grace. So I like to acknowledge my guys in the audience, everybody participating. And Hat Powser usually showing up at the end. What's up, Hat Powser? Good to see you. This is awesome. So Chad, let's go back to, you said spirituality was kind of really what helped turn your marriage around. So you guys, you told me you guys are in Virginia. Have you guys been in Virginia your whole marriage? Is that where you guys met and lived?
Well, we were military, so we met in Virginia. We're from Virginia, not from the area that we're in right now. We're actually from the Blue Ridge Mountains area, so it's a real small town. And I grew up very, very rough. So my mom was a drug addict. My house was basically a crack house, and it was rough. And so after a lot of legal stuff and a whole bunch of other things that happened, they eventually sent me out of district, which is where I met my beautiful wife. And we have been in each other's lives for 26 years. Amazing. We got married young. We had babies. We were babies having babies. You know, we thought we knew it all back then. And we got, you know, hitched and started this journey together, not knowing all the ups and downs that we would face. We weren't prepared spiritually, mentally, physically, in no area, right? And I joined the military, and I'm off. Right, I was combat arms, so it was just a roller coaster as far as just being gone. And you know, we suffered a lot in our relationship because of the environment that we were in the military. It's a lot of divorce, a lot of drinking, a lot of chaos, if you will. A lot of unfaithfulness. And when you're young and you're trying to make good decisions, but you're surrounded by a whole bunch of people that are making bad decisions, it's really, really hard. So we followed suit in some of those areas and made a lot of mistakes. But we loved each other. That's the thing, is like our friendship and our love for each other kept us connected despite the really low lows that we were having. Right. And spirituality came in to the play because we were desperate for change. We knew that if we kept going down the road that we were on, divorce was definitely going to happen. Right. Our family would be split up. We would just be another statistic. And so one day, a lot of the change started with individually. And that's what we preach, a lot of this individual work that you have to do before the collective can be whole, right? You have to be whole on a personal level before you can connect with somebody else and think that relationship is going to be whole, right?
That's so one of the foundations right there. People miss that step sometimes,
right? And we were one of them. We missed that. We jumped right over that thing, right? And we had to come back and backtrack a little bit and say, okay, hold on. So I started diving into myself, and you know, I started to really seek who I was, my purpose in this cosmos. I didn't know because of the life that I had lived. I was very lost. But what I noticed is as I began to heal myself and find myself, it was almost like a thermostat in my life. And what I mean by that is, you know, like a thermostat, if the door opens, what does it do? It kicks in and it brings it up or down to whatever your desired temperature is. And my door was open a lot back then, and it was able to start regulating that. And then she started following suit. She saw the peace that I was having and the change that was taking place in my life. Next thing you know, she started diving in within herself. Right. The byproduct of that has been, I mean, nothing short of amazing in our relationship. And it's actually affected our kids. You know, a lot of people try to force their kids one way or the other. We continue to focus on us, and our entire house seemed to be regulated by that temperature, if you will, of our spiritual pursuit. And so we we use that spiritual approach to help marriages and couples find that happy place in their relationship, so
Right.
it's in a nutshell kind of how it
No,
worked out.
that again, now I know why I invited you on the show. That's exactly my philosophies of living, and I love what you said too. I think when you are able to go inside and kind of heal yourself just by being that, you start to affect the people around you. You're raising the vibration. So I want to excuse me, I want to ask you. You said you started like getting into it and reading about spirituality. So what were there specific things? Was it meditation? Like what were the specific things that you were doing that helped you find who you were and start to connect with what was inside you?
Yeah, it was definitely so I grew up in the church, but and I'm one of those people that there's multiple paths to the summit, right? And it doesn't matter which path you take, it all leads to one place. But for me, the church, I took a step away from that, and I started diving into more of the Eastern, like Buddhism and Advaita, Vedanta, and started to really, I started meditating. I started reading the Upanishads. I don't even know if I'm saying that right. But a lot of the Eastern literature, and just, I started forming a very strict routine for self growth and self healing and my own spiritual growth. And so I would get up around 4 or 5. I still get up at 5 in the morning, and I meditate, I read, and then I write about 3 pages a day. Wow. And through that process, I've been able to become whole and a better version of me. I still have work to do. I still have areas that I need to raise that vibration in. I think that it's an ongoing process. And it's funny because my wife started, we didn't have to force each other to do this. It was just natural.
I got more attracted to him. Yeah, that's what it was. I got
really a
great
byproduct
to him.
And amazing. Yeah. Wow.
I was like, God, there is something about him that when you have peace and joy every single day, and you're just doing things that serve you, serve your soul, right? Serve that spirit that lives inside you. Not this. Once again, I'm always going to say that. Not this right here. Not what the mind tells you is supposed to be, but you serve what you know is right. That's attractive. And
what a great testament. Yeah, that's great.
I was just like, I want whatever that is. So whatever that is, I want a part of that. And I did. I just kind of said, let's do that. And it's funny because, like you said, he never forced me to do anything. And I just wanted to. I loved it. I enjoy, we started meditating together. We now have our children. They meditate with us. So we do it as a family. And when we talk about it and we enjoy those moments. Excuse me, we started going into a more holistic lifestyle because we started thinking like it has to be more than just, our spiritual growth. We have to tap into what is it about what we eat and put into this vessel that we were putting ourselves into. So we have to think about that. And then, it's not even just the food. Now we have to think about our, the lotion that we put on our body. And then we have to start thinking. So we went in and just, I started studying and I was like, okay, no, there's no way that all of this stuff on this earth was created, right? And it was supposed to be man-made, right? No, I just don't believe that. And so we were like, we start making our own cough syrup and we start making our own laundry detergent. Oh yeah. We just really just formed a different way of living, just the way we felt like it felt good to us.
And we like she was saying, we grow our food. And I want to just highlight that real quick for your listeners. In the Eastern world, especially in India, they highlight the fact that you are what you eat.
Yes.
So if you're a warrior, you'll be allowed to eat meat. Outside of being a warrior and fighting a battle, you're usually on a vegetarian diet. And when I say that, it's like when people want to elevate their consciousness and their vibration, it has to be a full gambit attack, like a full spectrum initiative. And we get caught doing one or the other, like, okay, I'm just going to meditate or I'm just going to read, but we leave out the food aspect. And our body is a part of this whole process. If it's not operating at full yield, that affects every other area of our life. And so when I really started diving into this and she started diving into this, we started growing our own food and doing it cheap, in small rooms using 5-gallon buckets and totes, right?
That's
and
awesome.
we in just a spare room. You can do this in an apartment in New York.
Yeah, I'm going to want to talk about that for sure. I definitely want to talk about that.
What I've seen is that just the growth, the peace, the vibration that really the frequency that we begin to hop on changes, and it's so effortless. It's just such a natural progression, and it's beautiful, right? It I see so many people, and they're just, it's almost like the fight to be better is the struggle itself, right? And they're struggling so hard just to be better, and they can't. They're beating themselves, right? But when you start changing your entire life to fit the frequency that you want to be on, man, I'm telling you, it is a very effortless life, and it's enjoyable.
Chad, you are so inspirational. Let me tell you, the way the way that you're talking about the way that you feel, right? You're not preaching anything. You're just saying, hey, this is what I did, and this changed my life, and this affected me. And I love that, that's the tools that you use to help other people look at themselves and look at their marriage. You made me realize something about what I'm doing here and what I see. I mean, again, kind of, we're all guilty of social media, right? And like, no matter how much we know it's not good for us, we all end up scrolling and looking at stuff that's making us feel things we don't want to feel, right? And I wanted to make a show that was about the things you do want to feel. And what you just made me realize is the way that you're looking at your approach, right, to life. You're more holistic, you're more organic. Food is not, you're not being like conspiracy theory, like they're trying to do this to me or they're trying to do that to me. You're just like bypassing that all and taking accountability and just being like, I'm going to grow my own food. I'm going to be responsible for what I do. And I'm not even going to blame anybody else for putting me anywhere. You know what I mean? I love that. I do love that, because again, I'm guilty of it too. Sometimes I'm like, oh yeah, I was talking to one of my guests and I said, yeah, we've been conditioned. And he said, no, you haven't been conditioned. You know what I mean? And I get what he means. We let ourselves be conditioned is really what it is.
Right. Yep.
It's just the easy way out, right? Because it seems like that's whatever you look around, that's what everybody's doing. So
compare and contrast. It's
like,
But like one of the things that I really took to when I started getting around Eastern philosophy, especially like the gurus, not like the mainstream gurus, but like these guys that like live in jungles, and you start talking to these guys, and they were talking, our mind is like the shadow, right? And we have this light on the inside of us that just wants to burn so bright, but the mind casts these shadows, and so many of us.
Oh, I lost them for a second. I think they'll be back shortly. I think there was some bandwidth issues. I don't know if you guys have been if it's been lagging or anything out there, but they are back. I lost you guys for a second. Yeah.
Oh, I'm sorry. I don't know.
That's all right. No, it's some, this is live streaming. Sometimes the bandwidth doesn't cooperate,
But they were talking about how the mind casts this shadow over the light, and most of us have been living in those shadows for such a long time. We wouldn't know what true light is if it was right in front of us. And I thought I've been attracted to that since I started this, because I realized how the human mind has caused so much conflict. You talk about the condition, we compare ourselves, and we think that we justify what we do because some guy on the left is doing something else, and it's all of this shadows that our mind is placing on a light that wants to burn so bright. And if we can remove the concepts and remove the mind aspect of that, I mean, the mind can be used in a very positive way. I'm not saying that at all. I don't want to misconstrue what I'm saying, but when it's unchecked and unregulated by the soul, I think that's where we start running into some really big problems.
No, I get what you're saying. It's got to be intentional, and you've got to be accountable for it, instead of saying, oh man, I'm depressed. It's like, and again, I say things that I don't want to say depression isn't real or anything like that, but I feel like there's a certain amount of accountability and things that you can do to start to be aware of how to control your thoughts, because like you said, it's
100%.
all your thoughts. You're
Mhm.
driving the ship. You know what I mean? You are driving the ship.
Yeah, 100%.
Yeah. I just want to again catch up here a little bit. Grace Grella saying we're all works in progress.
Yes.
And when you guys were talking about, Chad, you were just kind of doing your thing, and Lanell, you became more attractive. Angela says, you said I'll have what he's having. Yeah, I'll have what he's having. And Grace, who's watching on both platforms, thank you, Grace. I love it when you do that. She's saying you took a deep dive. And she's also saying that you guys are fabulous guests and lights. And
Oh,
again,
thank
I
you.
love
Thank you so much.
it's so great because it's obvious, you know what I mean? It's like when you start talking about these things and talking the way you're talking about yourself and life, you guys are happy, you know what I mean? And that's contagious. And I think that's that higher vibration you're talking about, raising the vibration. We all need to realize that happy is a much better way to walk, I mean, it's
It
like,
is.
happy,
It really is.
happiness. It's not, that's the big thing too, right? These things aren't destinations. It's not like, oh, when I get here, I'll be happy. It's like,
Right.
no, I'm going to be happy on my way to wherever it is I'm going.
That's it. Whichever way it
The destination
unfolds, right?
is the journey. Or
That's
the
it.
journey is
The
the
journey is the
destination.
destination.
There it is. I said it backwards. Yeah.
Sorry. Yeah.
Yep. 100%.
Yeah, absolutely. And Helen is here, and then she says she's not really driving the ship, and then she's leaving. So Helen is one of our guests who knows that her mind does tricks on her, but sometimes she lets her mind win. And we love Helen to death. So I hope she's still here. Helen is a super bright light. Helen's going to be on my show in next year. So
Okay.
Awesome.
I'm looking forward to that.
Yes.
So I want to give you guys the stage a little bit about who you are and what you do, and obviously the spirituality was kind of the path, I guess, that brought you to your podcast and helping other people. So why don't you first tell us, I guess, what is My Bulletproof Marriage? What's it's all about? I'm going to put the URL up on the bottom here.
Yeah. Well, it's kind of like what you said. It's trying to make our marriage bulletproof. So we talked about how spirituality helped us and how hard marriage was, but like the first 10 years was, I mean, when I say atrocious is a great word. Divorce was on the table every other day. We truly were becoming enemies. And then our daughter ended up having a stroke at the age of 5 years old. I was about to redeploy to Afghanistan, and she has this massive stroke. We're in a foreign country. We're in Germany at the time. She gets misdiagnosed for 24 hours, and it sends us in this tailspin, if you will. We were so lost. We didn't know what we were doing. She was pregnant with our third child. She ended up giving birth while my daughter's in ICU fighting for her life. She's giving birth to my third child. And then I still have my oldest son who's just there. And I'm like, oh God, what do I do with him? Because we're a few hours away from like a place to sleep, so we're just stuck in this hospital. And then that third child ended up being diagnosed with autism. A year later, we have a fourth child who gets diagnosed with autism. So at one point, we have 3 children in therapy, all for different reasons. I'm still in the military. Then I get injured in the military. And then I get in, and I talked about the motorcycle wreck, but that was my second one. I had been hit at 45 miles an hour, T-boned. An 18-year-old kid on his phone hit me, and I got the courage to get back on the motorcycle, and then I get hit again. So I no longer ride motorcycles, but 2 was enough for me. But all of this, I'm trying to recap all of this, because when we talk about My Bulletproof Marriage, it's coming from a place of experience. We understand what it's like to have challenges, what life can do in the process of your relationship. And a lot of it you can't control. A lot of it is just sporadic. It's just spontaneous. And you're left to try to respond to life. And without the right foundation, that is very, very hard. And we know that firsthand as well. But we also understand that you can take these obstacles and you can turn them into opportunities to strengthen your relationship, to raise your consciousness, to become the best version of you. I feel like that there is no right or wrong. That's a definition that we were taught to give things. Life is happening. We give it a definition, right? And so what we've chosen to do is begin to take what people would normally say are bad and see it as a positive, see it as a place of growth and a place where we can become a slightly better version of us, 1% better every day, you know, and we just keep it moving. And so that's what we preach. We preach a realistic view of this, but we have 8 pillars that we kind of hone in on, that we believe that if you have these and you practice them on a daily basis, you are much more prepared than the average couple when life does throw those curveballs and those right hooks at you, and you can respond rather than react, and you can allow those things to help you to grow and, you know, allow your relationship to thrive. And if you think about it, all of the struggles that we've been through, it has given character to our relationship. It has, you know, and so like when you look, you know, 26 years later, we're looking back and everybody's like, man, I want the relationship that you have. But what we're trying to show people is that this character that you see, it's full of scars and ups and downs and twists and turns and a lot of low points. But when you look at the overall, you see something beautiful. And that's you know, that's the contrast that we're trying to.
Well, that, you know, when you said, you know, you guys were talking, you're like, oh, the first 10 years, and you guys are looking at each other like, yeah, it was pretty bad. But how amazing is it that you can look at you guys smiling, look at you guys, you know, like how amazing is you could look back at that and be like, wow, we never thought that we'd be here right now with so much love between us. You know what I mean? And it almost, looking back, you can look back and that almost gives you a little charge. Like, wow, we do.
Oh, it does.
It
does. You know, I told Chad that, I'm sorry to cut you off. I told Chad that I felt like I met him before I met him. I've always told him that. I'm like, I really do felt like we had met before, but we just happened to meet again when I was 14 and he was 16 in high school. Wow. And that was the moment that we were like connected. And this is where the universe said, I want you all to, you know, hone in on this. And we did. We tried to like separate each other. We did. We tried our best to like be separated and go our different ways. And
I'm doing my own thing.
Yeah, no, I don't need you. Like, you know, I'm gonna see somebody else. Oh, we tried. And then it would be something that just kept coming and bringing us back together every single time. And this is like before we got married, when we were, like I said, still young, because I met him when I was 14. And here we are in our 40s. So we spent our life together. We've spent our life together. And it's just amazing to see where we're at now, knowing that, like I said, I felt like in another dimension, I knew him. I really did. I'm like, you're the only guy that I've ever felt disconnected to. Like, it doesn't matter what happens in life. Like, I just always gear right back to him. I just go right back to him.
And that's got to be, that's got to be a blessing to again, to look back and be like, oh man, I knew you when you were not so good. You know what I mean? And I see, you know, and like, it's just so encouraging and inspiring. The Quiet Healer says you're an inspiration to us all. I believe it too. It's like walking in the ocean. No matter how hard the wave hits, you keep on going. Absolutely. That's right. And Quiet Healer, I know that feeling well. That has happened to me in my current relationship and my past one. The Quiet Healer is who I was telling you guys about earlier. My current relationship. And we do have a very, very special relationship that, again, like you said, Lanell, we do feel like we knew each other in a different life, in a different way, you know, there's some sort of cosmic connection. And again, it played out in your relationship where you were together in your youth. You kind of tried to get away from each other, but you came back and now I think what I always like to say is you can't love somebody else until you love yourself. So I think maybe that's what happened when you started to learn how to love yourself, when you found meditation and you found a way to look inside. And that was just like, oh, this was working. We just needed to love ourselves first, right?
That's what we preach all the time. Find yourself, love yourself, and then like yourself.
Right.
That's it. Those 3 things first. You do that, and then everything else will fall, like it's supposed to. But man, that's the key.
And relationships your partner becomes a mirror. This is what people fail to realize about relationships. See, we were getting mad at each other, right? And we were, getting in these fights and blaming the other one for whatever was happening. But really what we were seeing was a reflection of the things that we hadn't dealt with throughout our life, trauma and, the beliefs that we had about ourselves, about life in general. And that's playing out. And we're blaming the other person because that's what's easy to do. It's easy to try to fix somebody else and point the finger at somebody else. It's 10 times harder to look within and take, like you have said throughout this episode, is accountability, right? Like looking at yourself and saying, all right, where do I play the part in this? And when you start looking, you start realizing it's all on you. And when you change this inside, the outside begins to change. We control the reality that we see on the outside. It's just a reflection of whatever internal state that we are in.
Yeah.
So
Absolutely. And you know what, as you were saying that you see this reflection in Lanell, I feel like when you get to that point when you love yourself and you start to drop judgment, right, of what's outside of you because you're loving yourself so much, I think you see your reflection in everything and in everyone. You know what I mean, in a certain way. And obviously the relationship you have with Lanell, that's like a soul, more like a soulmate kind of relationship, and that's kind of, and that's so freaking powerful, man. When you are with the one you love, you know that you vibrate this energy that other people feel, right? And like you said, people are like, oh, I want the relationship you have, because they can feel it. They feel, you just look at you guys. I want to just bring up real quick this, you guys have a website. It's down at the bottom, my bulletproofmarriages.com, where people can reach out to you, and you guys do counseling one-on-one with couples. But I loved when I came across this picture. What a happy looking family. There's so much energy in this photo. Like you can tell that this is a unit, and that there's so much connection between all of you. I know Angela mentioned, no, that wasn't the one I wanted to bring up. My son is nonverbal acoustic. He's watching now. Angela, what's his name? I want to say hello. Let's say hello to your son. Give me his name so I can.
Our son was,
I was about to say,
our third son was nonverbal for 8 years.
Yes.
For the first 8 years of his life, he was nonverbal.
Yes.
And what is he now? And now he's verbal and he's communicating.
He is now 13 years. Yes, 13 years old. He actually turned 13 the day after Thanksgiving, and he just came home one day and just said, "Hi, Mom." And
oh my God,
I just lost it.
I just got chills. Whoa, yeah, that's crazy.
So I tell you, Brandon. Hi, Brandon.
Brandon, good to see you. I'm glad you're watching the show. Thanks for coming with your mom.
Thank you,
really
Brandon.
appreciate it. That's awesome.
All the doctors told us that he would never talk, and we did all kinds of things. But you just stick with it. You keep investing and loving, and just trying to meet them where they are. And I'm telling you, our family is proof that the impossible can be possible. Yeah, because our daughter wasn't supposed to walk, talk,
they said she'd be a vegetarian. I mean, I said vegetarian. She'd be a vegetable. They were like, yeah, she won't be able to do anything on her own. And we were like,
wow,
I hear you, but I'm not going to listen to that. But I do hear what you're saying. And then after that, she started walking, and now she can do everything we do with just one hand. Her wrist and hand was the only thing on the left side that didn't come back, didn't gain the strength back, but she learned how to do everything else. And I mean, that's from speaking, for memory, to washing her own clothes. She's 18, by the way. So yes, 22, 18, 13, 12.
Wow, look at you guys. That's amazing. And Grace is saying, behold the power of love. I think, definitely you guys, like I used the word earlier about a testament, right? Like the relationship and the energy and the thoughts and the things you're going through are just such a testament to what is possible, right? And what is, we're on this earth for joy, right? We're here to be happy. Like it's so crazy how much time and energy is spent being miserable by people, right? It's like I don't understand that. We are supposed to be happy. And Angela says he's flapping now and dancing. All right, Brandon, flapping.
Love it.
Awesome. I love it. See that? Stirring up the energy in the universe. Great.
Yes,
Great
that's so good. I love this.
Great stuff. And even Tim, who's in Brazil, is saying, "Hola, Brandon. Awesome. We got an international flavor happening." Angela also met her husband on the playground when they were kids. And
awesome.
Tim also. So many people are relating. That's how I was with Sonia. I felt like I've always known her, and we finally met again. Yeah, I think
Yes.
that's definitely one of the signs of a soulmate. I think is where there's this.
Mhm.
Again, it's not something you can really explain. It's just a feeling, right? It's just like,
Yes.
I just know, I just,
It's the energy that you get when you're around that person. That's what I always say. There's an energy that we feel when we're like, I don't have to be touching him, but I just like sitting right next to him. I know this feeling. I know that there's something different. Or he'll be across the room, and yet he can have a conversation with somebody else across the room, but I feel him. Like I feel like he's right next to me and he's connected to me, but he's not near. And so I just feel like when people can find that, but you got to find it in yourself first. Find it in yourself first, right?
Absolutely.
You got to be able to be whole with yourself. And when that happens, then the connection will come. And I always tell people, like, the universe knows all things. We don't. So just understand that if you just walk the path, get up every single day and walk your path, it'll all unfold for itself. That's how it works. And that's how the joy comes and the peace. Because most of the time we are trying to control everything. You're taught to control, figure this out, do this, do that, right? And the universe is like, what are you doing? I did not put you here for that reason. Like, you did not come, you knew who you were before you came here. You knew who you were before you came. And I believe that. And I tell my kids that I'm like, you knew who you were. And I messed up because I didn't know who I was. So I taught you something else. But now what I do know, let me redirect that, right? Let me go ahead and train this. Let me teach you that, you know what? I don't know anything. So don't listen to me. But you know yourself. Trust yourself. Trust your instinct.
That's such a good response. I don't know myself. Trust yourself. That's such a good response. I
Trust
love
yourself.
that.
Yeah.
I'm
telling you.
It's
so true.
Yeah. Yeah, I think ego, is a big thing that again, I think like it just kind of it became the way that we thought we were supposed to be, like again, all of these influences that were outside of ourselves, and you two guys know, everything is inside. It's like all intuition, it's all feeling. It's like feelings don't come from outside, they come from inside.
Right.
Yeah.
So
ego is
go ahead, ego. Go ahead.
Oh, no, I was gonna say the ego is a mess. It really is. It's in everything, even the spiritual circles. When I started getting into the spiritual side of things, they get these little cliques and there's spiritual ego into that, and it's just like, my God, where does it stop? And that's where I started realizing that being humble is a superpower. It is a superpower, and if you can stay humble throughout your life, there are no limits to what the universe will open up for you. Absolutely.
You know what? And I just had this thought as you were saying that there's this saying and this kind of philosophy of like a warrior who can kill you, but won't kill you is at peace, right? Is really the most dangerous, right? And I think that's the same thing with being humble. It's like, I don't need to be the center of the room and the center of attention, and I can give everybody their space, which is what I love about this show. But if you want me to, I can certainly hold that space, and I can be the center, so it's like that same thing. I've got the power to tell you things that might help you, but I'm not going to come preaching them to you. If you want to give me that space, then that's how we'll work.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
Yeah,
I love it. So how long have you guys been doing the Bulletproof Marriage, and tell us about the practice of helping couples?
So first year, we just started this year in 2023, and it has been fun. A lot of people are in need of help, and we kind of didn't see ourselves in this situation. So it took us a little while and we're not business people. You probably can get that vibe from us already. That's not like, that's not our thing. We were already helping people just as friends, and people would come to us or be referred to us like, hey, please help my friend, or they're that couple, and that was okay with us. But then we realized that the things that we had, the recipe that we had created over time, it's needed. And so we started doing it, and we love it. Most of the stuff that we do is free because that's where our heart is. We don't do any of this from money. If it's a byproduct, cool, great, high five. But our heart is really in just seeing people thrive and find themselves and have a relationship that they're proud of having. Not one that you're like, oh God, I can't wait till I die.
Right.
But one that you really enjoy being in, one that even in the low points, you're like, I wouldn't want to be this low with anyone else. That type of vibe, that type of love. And we know that it's possible. And so, yeah, that's, it's been a journey. We love it. And it's very rewarding.
Yeah. Absolutely. Yeah. And I think, I'm with you guys. I feel like, I'm not really a business person. I would love to have this, be provided me with tons and tons of money, but I do it because I love the conversation. I love connecting to people. And I love the idea that something that we might talk about, might hit somebody that's listening, and they're like, oh wow, you changed my life. The first couple of shows that I did, I was actually hosting, helping a friend of mine, and he was the host. And then when I joined, like, we got some response, people saying, oh, you guys made me think this, or you made me think that. And that was just like so humbling to think, wow, just because I'm passionate about something and I talk about it, somebody else got it, somebody else felt that vibe and was like, oh yeah, that makes sense, So Grace Girl saying the meek shall inherit the earth. Angela says, my sister Jen says hello, and you guys have a beautiful love. Yes, we can.
Thank you,
Jen.
thank you, Jen.
I love, again, what you guys are doing. My girlfriend Janice, the quiet healer, she saw me doing this. I've been doing this show for probably about 2.5, almost 3 years now, right? And she saw me doing it, and she saw how it affected me in a positive way, and how just even the idea of me committing to every Thursday being here and doing it, like, there's such an important philosophy of just show up. Like, you talk about, you're here to be you, right? Just show up and be you. And again, there was such a great response to that I just love doing this. But so my girlfriend, who is very, very shy, she's a total introvert. She calls herself the quiet healer because she's an introvert. She decided, I'm going to do a broadcast, and she just started kind of really, I helped her a little bit, but she really just started doing interviews, and her show is called Unique Peace. And it's talking to people about what their tools are, what do they do to find peace, and it's these simple prompts of these conversations that I think get people talking about things that all relate us together, and we're all like, oh yeah, I do relate to other people. You're not looking for like what makes you angry about a person or something. You're talking about love. You're talking about what connects you, not what separates you. I think that's important stuff.
Like
that.
Yeah, what I was going to say was, you guys, I love that you're working together, and we have been kind of working together now, and I love being around her in general. So like, working together is even a bonus, right? It's like, you get to spend more time, you get to be productive, you get to see that energy that you have affect other people. It's really good. So you guys are really blessed to have found this bulletproof marriage.
We are.
Thank you. We feel the same way, because I know a lot of his friends would always be like, why do you always want her around? Like, they're trying to get away from their wives or girlfriends. And he's like, no, Lanell, you're going, right? And I'm like, yeah, well, duh, come on, let's go. Wherever he's going, I'm going. Like, it doesn't even matter, or vice versa. And we would just be there each other. And it was like, people would always ask me that, even family members, like, aren't you tired? Y'all work together. Like, you guys are always at home together. I mean, like, yeah, we have moments, I couldn't say that I wouldn't have a moment to be like, I need space. But that's the beautiful thing about us finding ourselves, is that we do give each other that space. We do give each other that time to say, like, we can be in the same home, but don't have to be right underneath each other. We don't have to do every single thing together. And we're still, we're still good, and we're still at peace with it.
That I think draws you to want to do more stuff together, right?
Exactly. Like, as soon as I'm done doing something like without him, then I'm like, I'm on the phone with him. I'm like, well, guess what? I just left here, and then I get home, and I'm still talking to him while I'm walking in the door.
Like 16 again.
Like 16. Right. So I get it. I love that for you and Janet. Good, good, good. Good
Yeah,
stuff.
that's awesome. Yeah. And I think I was somebody was talking about something that today too. Like it's like, oh, we don't have to be together all the time, but we want to be together. You know what I mean?
Yes.
It's like,
Yeah.
so, and Grace is saying Janice is brilliant. Thank you, Grace. I love your support. Grace is always supporting everybody and telling everybody how amazing they are. And you know what? I think you guys definitely subscribe to that philosophy, and I think that's part of what you're doing, is to show everybody that they are great, that they can
Yes.
have a relationship like you very easily, just by being that greatness. And Chad, when your friends are telling you, oh man, why do you always want her around, you'd be like, well, why don't you want your wife around? You could ask them that question.
He would say that
Yeah,
too. He'd be
yeah.
like, I don't understand. Like, I don't get why you don't want your wife around. He wouldn't understand that. And he'd come tell me, he'd be like, I don't get it,
This
but
is not why you married that person, right? Because you want
right.
This is kind of why we're together, it's because I want to be there. But and I want to say that when you were talking about starting this show and your girlfriend starting hers, like awareness can only happen if there's something that triggers that awareness. So kudos to you guys for doing that, because like I was telling you before we started the show, there's not enough conversation about these things, about finding and raising your consciousness and that spiritual connection that you have to this thing that we call life and existence. And with those conversations, like you said, you might be that spark that lights an entire flame in somebody's heart. And I think it's a very powerful thing that you guys are doing. So yeah,
Thank
awesome.
you. Thank you. And you guys as well. Grace Grella says, let there be peace on earth and let it begin with me. Right? It's such an important thing. Like you look at the world, and so many people are looking at the world and getting angry. What is this person doing? What is that? Like, be the best you can be, and that's where the change will happen. That, like, if you're not being the best you can be, how can you expect someone else to be? Right? You know what I mean? It's like, so I love the philosophies. I love these conversations. I appreciate you guys. You guys are a delight to talk to.
Thank you. I appreciate you having us on here.
Can you I'm going to ask you for two things before you leave. One is going to be, can you give us a sample without kind of giving away too much about what you do with couples? Like what's your number one piece of advice for couples when you see couples? Or
well, what we've been talking about, our go-to really is to look within and find yourself, to start that healing process, start really bringing awareness to why you believe what you believe. What we don't realize is, even in a relationship, we have preset subconscious beliefs on how things are supposed to go and play out. And so we challenge that, and we try to encourage that self-growth first. And then what we've seen is that these problems that we have they start ironing themselves out automatically as we begin to work on ourselves. So that's our very first push or initiative when we get a couple.
Yeah. That's great. That's definitely the most basic. And then I guess the other piece of advice would be, how do you do that? so like what would be a piece of advice? Let's say I'm not happy and I can't figure it out. What would you say to me?
First I think that we would talk about meditation. We have a form that we usually have them fill out that allows us to kind of dive into the psychology of that couple or individually, so that way we can kind of have a better understanding of why they feel the way they feel. A lot of times we have them begin to write those things down. Okay, you're not happy. Well, what were you expecting? What were the expectations going into this marriage? Okay, and then that usually uncovers a lot that they weren't trying to really go into. But once you start uncovering those expectations and the whys behind these feelings, then we can really get somewhere. And then we usually tailor whatever they need, try to get as specific as we can to that individual and that couple.
Right. Brilliant. And just I'm just going to point out what I think is brilliant about that is you are not asking them what the problem is with the other person. You're saying, what did you expect? What were your expectations? So you're asking them to go inside themselves and say,
take ownership.
Take ownership of those things.
Yeah.
Beautiful. Oh, you guys are awesome. I'm so happy I had you on my show. Grace Grella is saying brilliant show. So Grace always,
thank you,
I'm going to talk about ego for a second, because Grace always strokes that non-existent ego that I have and tells me how brilliant the show is. Again, I do this because I love it. Same thing as you guys. These conversations are they make you feel good when you're talking about good things and how simple it is to touch those things within yourself, right? So thank you guys. I'm going to put you back in the green room. I'm going to sign off my show. Hang on in the green room for a second so I can chat with you guys about growing my own food, because that's something that I really want to start doing. I think it's important. And Tim is thanking you in Portuguese. I love it when he does that. Obrigado, Chad and Lanell. I love that. Y'all are so amazing. Another amazing show. Thank you all. It's only amazing. Yeah, it's only amazing because everybody shows up. You guys are awesome. I'll see you guys soon. Let me sign off my show. That was awesome. I feel so good after a good conversation with good people who, through a video chat, you can feel, right? You guys could feel Chad and Lanell's energy. I heard you all responding to it. That's awesome. Janice is saying we've been wanting to grow our own food for years. We definitely have been talking about that a lot. Very nice. What a great couple. And happy birthday to Sonia. I see Tim is saying much love. I got to get back to celebrating Sonia's birthday. So happy birthday to Sonia. And thank you to Brandon for showing up and dancing and flapping and just being here. I will see you guys next week. Like I said, I didn't put in for vacation, so I am working on the 21st and the 28th, right around Christmas. Next week, we're doing the Christmas special. I'm having Christopher Kunza back to talk all about crystals. He's like a wealth of knowledge of crystals. I have some really interesting questions I want to ask him about crystals and energy and what they are and stuff. So we're going to continue that conversation we started when he was on the show. And then on the 28th, I have a gentleman named Shabugi Max, who is a great influencer on Instagram, who just has a great following and lots of philosophies about being happy and how simple it is. So I will see you guys next week. I hope you guys have a good one. Peace.